Thank you so much for everyone coming today. I'm so flattered that 300 people wanted to make it, and I'm really excited to share with all of you today. And I'm hoping to keep this a little bit under 20 minutes, just because every time I talk about this subject, there's a lot of really amazing Q&A that comes out of it, so I really want it to turn it into a conversation. So basically the thesis of my talk today is that life is essentially a series of moments, and minimalism can be a tool to help you maximize the moments that you have. I'm a professional organizer by trade, so as I talk today, organization and minimalism will be somewhat interchangeable. So I want to start off by pointing out and just acknowledging that a lot of people hear minimalism and just get immediately turned off. They think, I could never live that way. I like my stuff. That's just not for me. But minimalism's really not about a particular aesthetic or a certain number of things, although I do admit that I subscribe to that particular brand of minimalism with all black and white furniture and minimalist clothes and all of that. But that's not the only way that you can be a minimalist. It's really about living a mindful, intentional life and giving a great deal of thought to every single object, person, and commitment that you make space for. You can be a minimalist and live in a tiny home, or you can have a family of 5 and live in the suburbs. It's all about being mindful. So I consider myself a little more extreme compared to most people in the Western world. This is my house. I live in a 1,000 square foot row home that I renovated in the Fan. This is the downstairs area. I don't have much, but some days I want to take it even further and live in a tiny home because it feels really good to me. But it's different for everybody. And to be honest, I have to have my TV. I know some minimalists would be like, oh, you can't have a TV. But I love watching reruns of Frasier and snuggling on the couch with my rabbit, so I'm just like the rest of you. I'm not as Buddhist as I may sound. So before I dive in, I want to share a bit about how I got here, because I wasn't always this way. That's me when I was 4 with my very first rabbit. Those of you who know me know that I love rabbits today and have a tiny little Netherland dwarf. So I was pretty organized when I was a kid. I was always type A and got good grades. But I wasn't a minimalist. I kept my room clean, but I distinctly remember this pile of crap in this one corner. I would clear my desk and the spaces I used, but I didn't understand the concept of donating things I no longer needed, and my parents didn't really teach me about that. So there was always just this corner that was piled taller than me of stuff I didn't use that I just didn't know what to do about. That's me in college. I studied architecture at Tech, and I was moving around every single year for the 5 years that I was there, and constantly facing whatever I'd accumulated and downsizing for the next apartment. And studying architecture turned me on to minimalism and less is more, but I still didn't really consider myself a minimalist. And just a little side note about this photo, the bedroom I had didn't have a closet, so I took it upon myself. I took an industrial design studio one summer and designed and built this modular thing that housed everything I owned. So I should have known I had a career waiting for me in organizing. I mean, it's so obvious when I look back. It wasn't until 2008, when I was working as an architect in Richmond and I lost my job at the height of the recession, that I truly began to connect with the idea of minimalism. I was unemployed and I was earning below the poverty line for multiple years, and I needed to pay rent, I needed to buy food, and just have a decent quality of life. So how was I going to do this? I started looking at everything I owned and asking myself, do I want this? Or do I want the money that I could get for selling it? And selling things on Craigslist and eBay became this almost addiction for me. But I made thousands of dollars from selling kitchen items to cameras to larger pieces of furniture. I was rigorously looking at every single thing I owned at that point because I had to find a way to make money since I couldn't earn it through a job. And I don't, just as a side note, really recommend this process for clients because it It's very time consuming, and usually it's better to just donate, take the tax write-off, and sell the really high dollar items. But for me, it helped keep me financially stable. I didn't have to ask for money from anybody. I didn't have to move back in with my parents, and I was able to keep my savings account afloat just by challenging what I really needed to be happy and comfortable. And as it turns out, it was a lot less than I ever realized. So the moral of the story is that minimalism found me. I didn't wake up one day and say, I want to get rid of everything I own and have nothing and it's going to be amazing. But I'm so much happier when I look back at my life, my level of self-awareness, my level of happiness, my level of freedom and confidence and progress in life is just so much better now than before. And it taught me that I could live with way less. And it was empowering because I took control in a time that I didn't really have control over anything else. So fast forward 2 years later, in 2010, I founded my organizing company, Minima. I wanted to help spread the joy that I found through living with less, because I know everyone can benefit from it. So I thought, when I found out that was actually a career, which I had no idea, I was just so excited. And it's been 7 years now, and I absolutely love it. And it's an amazing fit with my architecture background, too. A lot of people say, do you miss architecture? And I said, no, I was sitting at a computer all day, moving lines around on a screen. For me, personally, that wasn't satisfying. Now, I get to use my architecture skills, but in a hands-on way with instant gratification, which is really good for me. So I work with clients at all stages of life, everyone from a young entrepreneur to growing families to retirees. Some people call me because they've never been as organized as they want to be and they're ready to make a change. Other people, have been doing okay, but they have a life event that kind of throws them off kilter, maybe a birth, a death, a marriage, a divorce, a move, a new job. And I love that moment when I'm working with a new client and they really start to feel the effects. They call me because they know they need it, and we can talk about it all day, but until I get back we do an initial consultation and then I come back and do hands-on time, and until we're actually in the space, decluttering, they just don't know. They don't have that aha moment of, oh my God, this is amazing, like this feels so good. So I love seeing their weight get lifted. My company's name, Minima, is actually a calculus term. A lot of people don't know this. I'm a major math nerd, but I'm one of those weird people that's like equal parts art and math. But I was obsessed with calculus in high school. So minima is the smallest value on a function curve, if you're familiar with that. And I am definitely like at the bottom of that function curve, but with my clients, I'm like, okay, you're here. How far do you want to go? And it's totally up to them. Like, I never say, okay, you have way too much crap. We're going to come in, and it's not like that. I come in and, I say, what do you want to do? Let's do that. And we'll take it however far you want. However far minima you want to go is what we'll do. So minimalism is really about getting clear on who you are and what you want out of life, which I mentioned a little bit earlier. And there are a lot of books out there and movies and everything that talk about like how to declutter and how to have a simpler life. But for me, I can boil it down to one question. Does it add value to your life? Whether it's a thing, a person, or a commitment, does it add value? So how do you figure out if something adds value to your life? That's the part of the process of minimalism that helps you get to know yourself better, because you have to start thinking deeply about what you want your life to be like and what belongs in it. Defining a vision for life is one of the first things I do with my clients, because my vision for my life might be completely different from what theirs is. So I really like to help them get clear on, okay, why are you getting organized? Like, what is the point? Organization is a means to an end. For me, I love it, but for most people, it's a means to some other end. So what is that end? Most people who are disorganized feel stressed. Some people are acutely aware of it. Those are usually the people who call me. Other people, it's just sort of their norm, and they're numb to it, and they don't realize that veil that's over them of stress that their stuff is causing them. So when you clear back the clutter, you no longer have that background noise, and you're really forced to face your deeper thoughts and your deeper self. I like to use the analogy of if you wear glasses and you have some smudges, like the stagnant, unused stuff in your space is like a little dirt on your glasses, and however small, it's impeding your clarity. So clearing it out will help you see your life better. So there are two main ways something can add value. It's it can have function, and that's pretty easy for most of us to define, but it can also bring us happiness. That part's a little bit harder, and that's kind of what I'm going to focus on. That's my little desk drawer at home with all the things I've selected that I just love to use. Most of them are from Muji, if you guys are familiar with that place. I'm obsessed. So let's just talk specifically about the home for a second. Imagine if every single item that you owned inspired some kind of joy. Now, you may not enjoy a minimalist aesthetic the way that I do, and that's fine, but you've selected intentionally everything that's in your space. So interacting with it brings you joy. Your morning coffee cup, your contact lens case, the pen or pencil you write with. If everything you own inspires happiness, then logically your overall happiness increases. If you have to spend the money anyway, why not pick out something you love? Was that Siri? Is that someone's phone? Do I need to like scoot back a couple of points? So each object, and this might sound like a foreign language to somebody. I mean, Siri's right. Like, but just trust me. Just go with it. Each object in your space, down to something as basic and seemingly silly as a stapler. This is my stapler from Muji that I'm obsessed with, and I freak out every time I use it because it's so cute and small. I'm serious, it's an opportunity for happiness. Like, moving through your space, interacting with your stuff, it can, I know, it can make you happy. So, studying architecture, we often talked about moments in a space, like the series of vignettes that you experience as you move through a building. I always think about that in a home. What do I want to see when I first walk in the door? What's going to uplift me after a long day? What series of things am I going to experience as I move through my home? Think about the threshold to your home as a sacred passage point. Things that fit in that life vision that we talked about get to enter into the home. Things that don't, stay outside. Just be very aware when you're entering in your home what you're bringing with you. So this is a before and after of one of my jobs. Imagine moving through a home that's cluttered versus one that's organized and intentional. The cluttered home feels disorienting. You're not really sure where to focus your attention, and so your mind feels cluttered. The organized home feels connected, and it really allows you to pause and appreciate each moment in the space. Maintaining a home's an unavoidable part of life for most of us. So with good organizing systems in place, daily tasks can actually become meditative rather than stressful. For example, that's my dresser drawer at home. I actually now love folding my laundry. I've been obsessed with origami since I was a child. And so for me, folding laundry is a creative outlet. I get to challenge myself. How precise can I get with this? I know it might sound strange, but it's one of the most peaceful things I do at home aside from doing the dishes, which I will procrastinate on, and then when I actually do it, the soap smells amazing, and I just get all relaxed and space out. So the point is, when you don't have a million piles of clutter in your house to deal with, you can actually sink into the moment, sink into the task, and enjoy it, and get a little bit of creative inspiration out of it, or a little bit of meditation or relaxation. A lot of times clients will tell me, the last picture, which space would you rather have, you know? A lot of times clients say, oh, well, we just finished the kitchen together and now I'm enjoying cooking with my family again. Like, that's the greater good that I help my clients define. Why do you want to get organized? More time with family, more time creating, more time with friends. Whatever the case may be, it will help you get there. So, getting back to that, I kind of believe that treating each task with respect is very important, and trying to find the joy in it. these are the moments that make up our life just as much as like those bigger moments over there. I mean, life is just a bunch of moments, but so many things like laundry or dishes get typecast as bad. But why waste them? They're opportunities, like I was saying. So when you take care to do something well, it actually saves time. There's a favorite quote from Ben Franklin: for every minute spent in organizing, an hour's earned. And I 100% agree. This is a photo from a shamanic flower arranging workshop that I did with one of my friends, Jennifer. And it was such a meditative moment in my house while I had that arrangement. I would always look at it and remember the time I spent outside and appreciate it. So I'm just going to have that up for the rest of the talk. So I've talked about how to make the moments you have better and happier, but minimalism also increases the overall amount of moments that you have in life. It gives you more free time to do the things that you love. You have less stuff to maintain, less to shop for, potentially less time you have to spend working to earn money to pay for the things that you no longer realize you need. And in the process, you might get clear on how you want to spend your time and cut out unnecessary tasks and activities. So I want to share a couple client stories that I think are either interesting or powerful. Getting organized has often been referred to as the gateway drug to all other goals. And it's true. I worked with a client who was a motivational speaker, and her business had been kind of slow for a while, and she called me and we went into her office and you couldn't get a path to her desk. There was so much stuff everywhere. So we just spent the first session clearing a path to her desk and clearing off her work surfaces. And I kid you not, that night she got a call from a big New York company about like 3 major speaking gigs when her business had been dry. And she like excitedly emailed me about it like right away. And we both knew that it was because of the work we did together that day. I'm serious, like we knew. I am so serious. I see it in my own life too. When I let go of something that's not working for me, new opportunity flows in. I sincerely believe in the powerful energy of letting go. When you're holding on to stuff that you don't need, that's stagnant in your space, you're telling the world, I'm good. I don't need new opportunity. I don't need new stimulation or inspiration. I'm good right where I am. And then when you start to let go, it's amazing what opportunities start to knock. Also, getting organized is a lot like peeling back the layers of an onion. I had a client who hired us, and this is not the normal process, but she said, we're going to go through my whole house, but I want to do it again with you in a year because I know I'm only ready for that first layer, and I know I'm going to be ready to get rid of more in another year, but I'm not there yet. And that's totally fine. A lot of people like look at a space like what I've shown and say, I could never get there. Well, I didn't get there overnight. I mean, it's just do what you're comfortable with, sit on it, feel the effects of it, and then go a little bit deeper. It's really amazing how much we can let go of when we take a rigorous look at everything that's in our life. When I'm working on a project with a client, we actually organize by category, not by room. It's kind of like the Marie Kondo method. Is when I read her book, I was like, yeah, girl, get it. I mean, she gets a little too far-fetched for some people, but I personally really enjoyed it. So we use a very similar method. And for example, if a client's storing clothing in multiple spaces, we'll bring it all together and look at it at once so they can really see like what is adding value to my life. Which of these 20 pairs of black pants am I actually enjoying? People don't even realize how many things they have until we show them their stuff. We're like, here's your stuff. We pulled it all out from different places of the home, and it's really easy to then see. But I have this one client who every time we start a new project, she's like, Kristen, she's always skeptical. I don't think I'm going to get rid of much today. And we do our process with her, and we leave with like 2 cars full of goodwill every time. And I'm like, okay, every time she tells me that. And honestly, that's how it is with most people. Like, when your stuff is just like, it's really easy during an initial consultation to like open the cabinets with a client and say, okay. They're like, yeah, I think I use all of that. And I'm like, okay. And then when you pull it all out and sort into like categories, it really activates it. It brings it to life, and you can really see and be more aware of what you have. So how do you get started on this journey towards maximizing life's moments through minimalism? The first step is to define your vision Get really clear on what you want your life to be about, and do not hold back. Don't say, oh, I could never, blah. But if you want it, then that's your vision, and that's okay. And write it down. It can evolve and change over time. But with that vision in mind, start looking at everything you own through a very rigorous lens. Does it help you achieve your goals, or does it hold you back? Create a space that supports the life you want, and that vision will 100% become a reality. And now Q&A.